on this wonderful sunny afternoon here in Qatar. The weather is boiling hot, which is fantastic. I just got some sun on my face today. Very special guest. He's come back to kind of say hello, and he's going to come and tell us everything about himself and what's going on with it in himself in this life. It's Hamad. Hamad, can you introduce yourself and tell him what you do?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me again, Steve. I was looking forward to this once you brought it up to me. So to be here again is awesome, and hopefully there's more in the future. So I'm Hamad. I started a company here with my brother actually, and the company is called Dowlisport. But our main product is an application called ASAP, which is a stadium service application, which we debuted at the MotoGP race in March in 2020. And we're just kind of started scratching the surface to get a couple of football games with the Emir Cup. But since the COVID-19 situation, everything's kind of been canceled for the moment.
The one thing I love about you, Hamad, and I really do, you've got an incredible story up to your story right now. And you haven't, it's like all of us, we've had the ups and downs, but yours has been, it's been a roller coaster, right? But I love your spirit. You never give in. You just keep on pushing. And how did you this company that you've got set up now with your brother, and you've got the ASAP app, which is fantastic. How did that all come about for our listeners? How did it all start for you?
I mean, the idea of the app was kind of the basis of everything. It came about when I was finishing my MBA in sports management when I was still living in Spain. I lived in Madrid for 11 years. So when I was completing my MBA, I had to kind of figure out my thesis and what I was going to do, and had to be kind of like a business in sports. And I kind of thought of this idea about this application for stadiums. And then once I graduated, I kind of put it in the back of my mind, and I was working in a sports marketing agency and sponsorship agency in Madrid. And then once I left there, I was like, okay, maybe I need to find what I need to do now, really. And I kind of revisited the application. I was like, you know what, this is kind of an opportunity that I can't let go right now, because I think the timing is perfect. I tried doing it in Spain for about a year, and then once I kind of moved here in Qatar, things have been kind of moving so quickly. But it's been an incredible ride up until now, really.
It really has for you, and just kind of, so how did it begin here? You were with the Supreme Committee. You won something, or you participated in a startup?
Yeah. So once, it was actually funnily enough, when I first moved here, I was looking for jobs at the Supreme Committee, at Aspire, or any kind of sport organization that would take me at this point, because I just wanted to kind of be involved with the World Cup. I couldn't really get any replies from anybody, and so I found this place called Cubic, which is the Qatar Business Incubation Center, and they help people kind of take an idea to an actual business and kind of get you into the market. And so I kind of entered into their program, which is a 10-week startup lean program, as they call it. And then at the end of the 10 weeks, you pitch to a panel of people, and if you get selected, then you get incubated by Cubic, in which they help you with actually setting up the company in Qatar. They give you seed funding money as well, and also just like as much mentorship as you need. So being a part of that with Cubic has been essential with regards to our growth in the country, because they also help me kind of adjust everything to this market and, you know, how things are done about here. Even though I'm from the Middle East, I'm from Kuwait, I still had to kind of get a grasp as to what the market is like here before I could actually, you know, start growing.
I think you brought up a good point, and I'm going to just cover it a little bit more. Cubic. Cubic for me is just incredible how they give the opportunity to people like yourself. And what people don't realize is that it's, and you are from the Middle East, but you're, I would say classified as an expat too, especially in Qatar. But they help and support expats and locals, right? It's something.
Yeah. Like the main thing for Cubic, from my understanding from my time there as well, is that if you have a viable business, a viable idea, then they're willing to help you. And at the end of the day, you kind of go through this program and you do what they tell you to do, and it's like kind of like almost homework. but they really give you like honest value to be able to succeed in your business. And they give you honest feedback, which is kind of hard to come by these days as well.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Cubic, and I'm also a fan of QDB Sports, Qatar
Yeah.
Sports Tech. They're all doing a magnificent job, especially helping companies establish, and they're making such a headway when it comes to that. The ecosystem that they're building is just incredible. So
It's incredible. Yeah.
yeah,
They,
very much
they
so.
give, they're giving a lot of opportunity, which is, I think, what Qatar really, really has at this point in time. There's just so much opportunity in the region, and especially in sports here in Qatar.
And people are all of a sudden people coming to realize this because of this coronavirus thing. It's like people are still I saw an article in the paper and I published it on my LinkedIn where it was that they're still saying that Qatar is one of the best places to come and actually establish a business here. It's just got so many advantages, especially within the Free Zone Authority and also Qatar Financial Center, where they're just getting more and more people to come and invest here, and especially with great ideas like yourself.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I mean, I actually registered my company with the Qatar Financial Center, and
Oh,
that process has been awesome, to be honest. Seamless, makes sense, and their services are great.
yeah, and there's so many different advantages, but it kind of all you've got to do is you've got to do a bit of hustling. And the one thing that I like about you is that you don't sit down and say, yeah, you know what, that's good enough. It's always on to the next one. So I just want at this stage, I just want to say some things. Your company is called Dowlisport,
Yes.
and it's on Instagram. So it's at DOWLISPORT. And your app is
Yep.
also on Instagram. It's at ASAPP_APP, where they can go and have a
Correct.
look at everything that you're doing, right?
Yep. Correct. Exactly.
So what was your aims with this? I know it's taking concessionaries to the people in their seats, but how did it all begin? How did you start putting the framework in place?
Yeah, so like I mentioned a little bit earlier, the business model kind of I did when I was doing my thesis for my MBA. And so when I revisited the idea, I was like, okay, this needs a little bit of tweaking here, and etc. And so when I moved here and I said, okay, the World Cup is coming, so that's a big opportunity, and these kind of services are going to be available at the World Cup, whether it's me or somebody else. It's just kind of like the next thing to be able to enhance what the fan experience is. And so once I moved here, we started tweaking the application a little bit, got a new developer, started developing it, and just kind of getting it market ready as quickly as possible. But having said, even though we were trying to move as quickly as possible, it's important to realize that things take time. It's a marathon and not a sprint. So you gotta pace yourself out and kind of see when the right time is to enter the market, when you're going to be able to, show a good product rather than showing something kind of subpar, and then the climb back up from there is going to be a little bit harder. So we did take our time, but we were moving as quickly as possible. And so now the application, we debuted it, like I said, at the MotoGP. We got a great feedback, both positive and negative. And now, since everything has been kind of canceled, we've kind of taken that feedback, went back to the drawing board, and kind of redeveloping and reassessing how the application should be to be able to have it at a better standard for the next time we're in the market.
Okay, perfect. Now I wanted to ask you. Okay, you just touched, and I do agree with you. One thing I do agree with you: it's not a sprint; it's a marathon. This is not. I'm 53 and I'm still pushing myself. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not all about sprinting. It's kind of trying to gauge because you never know what's coming your way. So I'm going to
Exactly.
take you back a little bit. I want to try to get some information, some feelings from you. I know it's hard. I was saying to you before this, it's hard to get this connection, but I want to. What was it like to get your first big contract? So the motor, Lucelle. What was it like to
Yeah.
get that?
It was amazing because if we put it in perspective, I've been working on the app just by myself for maybe 2 years and a half, and then kind of slowly my brother started getting involved, and then I had another friend of mine kind of get involved into the company now, and we actually kind of created a team. Whereas before it's been me for 2 years and a half by myself trying to get this thing afloat. So to finally land a big major international event as big as the MotoGP was massive, and I was on cloud nine, to be honest. I mean, even though the MotoGP class wasn't there because of the coronavirus, but the GP still happened. It was just the Moto2 and the Moto3 races. But well, I was on cloud nine. I was so happy to be involved.
Dear me. And then everything is going really well. Everything couldn't be sweeter, right?
Yeah,
And then all
yeah.
of a sudden, bang. What happened? How did you feel on when that all started?
It was weird because we got the MotoGP. We were super happy. That finished, and then that finished on a Sunday. And then on the Tuesday of that same week, I had a meeting with the Qatar Football Association, so the QFA, and negotiating to be able to get ASAP involved for the Emir Cup quarterfinal games that were happening that coming weekend. So they said okay for me to be involved in a game on that Saturday. Great. We got off to the meeting on positively. I went back home, started getting things ready, to, kind of tweaking the application a little bit. And then on Thursday, I was going to have a stadium tour. But Wednesday night, and then Saturday was the game. So Thursday I was going to see the stadium, Saturday the game, and on Wednesday night they put out a press release saying everything's suspended, canceled. There's going to be nothing going on for now. And at first, I'll be honest, it was a huge blow. I was devastated. I was like, we just started scratching the surface. We got, in the market. We're getting more attention, and then this happens. And it was a big blow at the beginning, but kind of slowly, the more I started thinking about it, it's almost kind of like a blessing in disguise, as much as I don't like to say that, because one, it's giving us time to actually take the feedback that we had from the MotoGP and really put it into the application so we have a much better product the next time we're about. And then also, strategically, I think we're in a great space because, I mean, it's all part of the digital revolution, right? So anything that can become digital will become digital. And this is just kind of one aspect of the sporting landscape. So if they said yes to us from before, they will say yes to us again. And then even more so now than before, things are going to have to become more digital. So strategically, we're in a great space. So now it's just a matter of just kind of waiting and seeing when it's the right time to be able to get involved again.
How important was it? Because I know your story. We had it on the podcast beforehand, so I've been really privileged to listen to that. How important was it to go through all the stuff, the negative stuff in your life when it comes to the sporting side? And I know that you just wanted to stay in sport somehow, some way. So I know why you carried on with that. But was it such a benefit to you because of all the stuff that you went through?
100%. Because I mean, also even when I was playing football, it was like anything from football you can apply to your daily life, like teamwork and commitment and responsibility. These are things that you can get from sport that you can apply to yourself. And so to go kind of through those harder times was essential to me now because one, it created a thicker skin for myself, and it showed me how strong perseverance can be. Because I'm in a great space now, and that's the most important part of it all.
What were the things that what did you pull on? What was those when you went through this dark time right now? What did you pull on to kind of see you through? How did you? What was it that was the biggest strength?
You mean now or from before?
Just now, just now. When you're coming, sorry, I'm jumping a little bit, but when you're coming through this situation where it's been a really tough one, it was ready to go in the press on the Wednesday. Oh, sorry, it was ready to go in the press, and then all of a sudden the coronavirus hit.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to explain. I just kind of continued with the bigger vision of it all, because I mean, this situation not only affects me, it affects everybody. So to kind of dwell on that and, to sulk and say, oh my God, how can this kind of happen to me? I was just getting started. I mean, I'm still in a great space. I'm safe, first and foremost. That's the most important thing. My family is safe. I'm in a safe environment. And that's the kind of the most important thing at all. And like when I started thinking in that sense more so then, like, oh my God, the business opportunity went away. The business will come back. I had to kind of put my priorities in check first, and so that's what's I think been the key thing for me.
Isn't it great that you my best advice to anybody that's starting in business or that's doing anything where they're going out and they're trying something on their own is saying, make sure they've got a support mechanism around them. Make sure that they've got something that can keep you in place, that can kind of, if you do go through tough times, how important it is to have those people around you.
The most important thing ever, really. I mean, like I said earlier, my brother's involved with me in the company. So to have him on board, he's my younger brother as well. So to have him on board as eager and as motivated as me is a huge win for me, because I mean, he's my best friend, really, and the person I trust the most in this world. And to have him on board with me is awesome, and to have his support and his eagerness and motivation to learn as well has been great. And then apart from that, my sister, of course, is our number one
your
fan.
Biggest
my
fan,
older
right?
brother.
I know, I'm sorry to jump in there. She's your biggest fan. I know we met up beforehand, but she was a huge fan, right? I still remember her for that.
Yeah, no, she's the best. She's really the best. And then, my older brother, and just kind of all the things he's been teaching me throughout this whole, throughout life, really. I can't tell you how many things my older brother's taught me. And then just this endless support and from my parents is beyond me. I'm definitely very lucky in that sense.
And everything, as you said, and I can see now that, and it's going in a nice way, this whole talk with you, because things happen for a purpose. And I remember why, because I was going to do this live podcast, and as I said, yesterday was a real nervous one for me, but I'm still nervous because it's live. And I was thinking to myself, who can I ask on? Who could I get coming through? And I remember I saw your article. You've done an article, and no matter what you've been through and the ups and downs, and when you're at the down, I saw an article that was there to look up and say, hey, listen, here's my experience. This is what I've been through. I'm willing to give anybody that same support. And I saw that and I thought, I just needed to get you back on the show. I needed you to kind of spread the word. Now, what would you say to anybody that's out there right now that is possibly going through something similar? What is the best advice that you could possibly give them?
First of all, thanks for those kind words, Steve. And second of all, I would say keep believing. Like we said earlier, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So this is just kind of one part of the race. So keep your head down, keep your intentions correct, know what you're working for, and just keep going at it. Everybody's going through ups and downs. So to keep faith in yourself and belief in yourself is crucial.
And I think you're right. You've just got to have that belief. And I know from my own situation, and I know from people that I'm talking to on a daily basis at the moment, there's a lot of people that's having a tough time out there. And the best advice I give to anybody, the best advice I give them is find somebody else that's got a problem. Because if you find somebody else and you can use your experience to help them through, then basically your problems vanish. And they'll vanish until you kind of come back to, after you've stopped helping, they'll come back and you might touch on them, but you've got to keep yourself busy. You've got to keep on pushing forward and looking at the pluses, looking at those things that really do mean all the difference.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, for every problem, there's a solution. Every single problem, there's a solution. It's just a matter of how you find it. But actually, I think I saw this thing Will Smith said, where he was like, if you ever have a problem and you think you're the only person that's going through that problem, just Google it. The answers will be there. It's impossible that one person is going through one thing, only them. Everybody's going through the same thing. So just Google it or speak to somebody. The answers are there. It's just a matter of you being confident enough to go search for those answers, and accepting being vulnerable, and like having self-awareness. Those are great things to have.
I can't agree more. And this is, and about Googling, I must admit, and I know that a lot of people out there are going to be in the same situation. I've never experienced anything like this before, but I've got to say that I do pull on the resources, or I do pull on those feelings that I've had in the past. And it's not too bad. The virus, I'm God bless, I've not lost anybody within this virus. I haven't had any of those things. So I'm very lucky, thanks be to God.
Yeah.
It's not happened to me, but I can only I'm only dealt the hand that I can deal with or play with, you know. And so I just try to keep myself strong. I just try to keep those ideas and keep focused. And it's all around, for me, it's all around people like yourself, that I see what they're doing. I get inspired by what you do. And that's probably why we're talking today, because I was inspired to say, no matter how far you were down, because I knew I follow your progress after the podcast, and I knew what you were going through. And then I saw that article. I thought, come on, we can do this. We can come through. And I want to ask you a question as well. What do you think, the way that we're all dealing with it right now, what do you think the positives are through this virus coming along?
I guess it's hard to answer, to say, because at the end of the day, it's mainly just kind of my opinion as to what the positive things are. Because like you touched upon earlier, is that people are losing their lives and people are losing loved ones. So I mean, that's always devastating, and so it's kind of always hard to see the silver linings between those. But what's been good for me, at least during this time, is that I'm spending a lot more time with my family. My family is safe, and it's kind of trying to seek the opportunity within the hard time, and trying to find the silver linings and try to stay motivated. And just kind of putting my priorities in check has been the most important part of it, I think. And like trying to be positive about that.
100%, and not taking away with the terrible things that's happening. But
Yeah.
the things that I like is that you do, like I said to you just now, I had a bin to take out. I went out to take it to the bin. And then all of a sudden that sunlight hit you and the warmth, and you just felt really good. And it was because if I was in the hustle and bustle beforehand, you didn't take advantage of that. You just thought to yourself, I've got to get in the car quick, get the air conditioning on, or listening. Yeah. And I know it's one of my things. It's like listening to the birds sing, or reaching out to people that you've got time now that you can reach out to people that you haven't spoken to in a long time. These are Absolutely. The things that I think can make all the differences when we can appreciate the people around us.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more, to be honest.
So have you been game planning for the future? What are you going to be doing? How are you going to keep things going? What are you planning? What are the things that you're working on?
Yeah, so I really only touched upon, like, within the umbrella of the company, which is Dowlisport. ASAP is just kind of one product of it. And so with that, we've been just, went back to the drawing board, getting the app ready and off the feedback that we got. And hopefully we'll be able to enter the market once, live events are going to come back. And I think, unfortunately, in my opinion, live sports events is probably the last thing to come back. But having said that, hopefully we'll be ready by then. And then apart from that, just under the Dowlisport umbrella, we're also getting involved in, sports marketing, sports consulting, sports endorsement and sponsorship deals. Given my experience in that field as well when I lived in Madrid, and considering my understanding of this region and the opportunities coming, especially with the World Cup, we're also getting involved in kind of networking and putting people together to be able to kind of make the word louder and educate people more about what to expect from the World Cup here. So, working on a couple of these opportunities as well.
I'd love to work on some of those with you, because I know the app. Once you've got the app and there's a principle in place and it does certain things, I'm almost convinced that you're going to find a way of using the app for different opportunities. And I'm sure I don't know them yet, but you've got all the workings in the back end, and I'm sure you're going to be able to manipulate those so that you can utilize it for some other service.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it's key to try to have multiple revenue streams rather than just have all your eggs in one basket. So the priorities are set in place, and we know which venture is the most important under the Dowlisport umbrella. But we're still seeking different opportunities that we want to get involved in. And like at the end of the day, our team is small in Dowlisport. It's me, my brother, and 2 business partners. But the most important thing for us, whenever we want to kind of explore a new venture, is that we're passionate about it and we want to do it because we love that. Like, there's really nothing holding us back from doing something that we love or think that we can be profitable out of. But the main thing for us is that we love it and we're passionate about it before we get involved in anything, especially if it's in sports.
Yeah. You said about there's a question that I wanted to ask you, because it's just on my mind at the moment, especially with the way that the world is going to be from now on. Esports is going to be huge, right? It was going to be bigger anyway, but esports is just going to blow your mind now, right? All resources are going to go into those areas just to take advantage, right? To get that fan experience again.
Man, I mean, I think so. I mean, like you said, esports has been on the rise since like a couple of years already. And a lot of the bigger companies and a lot of the bigger clubs have esport teams already in place. And funnily enough, now it's like the only sporting thing that's kind of going on and actually gaining a lot of exposure and reaching to a lot of people. And so, like, I think in sponsorship money, that's where that's what your safest bet is right now, because in like live sports events, the sponsorship money that's in that is quite expensive, but you're reaching a lot more people. But now it's kind of like, how do we readjust the situation? So yeah, most definitely what you said. That I mean, I haven't read too much upon it, to be honest, but from my knowledge, I think that's probably the thing that's like booming right now in sponsorship for sports.
I think with this whole thing with the crowds and the way that this is going to go, and I'm no expert, but I think it's going to be huge, because we had there's a guy called Ahmed that came on the show, and he's probably the hottest property when it comes to promoting these events. He started off with 3 guys to play for money on a football game, and now he's one of the main players when it comes to esports here in Qatar. And from there, once I spoke with him, it was like I then all of a sudden, you know how it happens. All of a sudden, you speak to so many different people about esports, and it just comes so apparent to me that esports is probably one of the biggest disruptors when it comes to sports. It's going to actually lead the way, because and some of the biggest things that they say is that just from a data perspective, collecting people's data is just so huge. And I had a podcast with Ahmed, and I've just launched the live video show, or the video podcast. And honestly, if you saw him get excited, and he's actually playing football, he's actually participating in the football. You can see the excitement that he's getting just by saying that he's in it. He thinks he's playing football himself, which is fantastic. And we had so many great stories with him. It's just an incredible. But esports for me is going to be good, and I think that's where something's going to happen for you too. I think it's going to be huge for you.
I mean, esports. I'm not too informed on it, but I mean, who knows? We'll see what the situation is like in the future.
The technology, you've got it, my friend. You've got all the experience. You know how to do it. It's a simple process. And the thing that you've got also is that you've got the sponsorship side of things. And that's an incredible part, because there's so many people out there. I won't say the big clubs and those big people are kind of, they've got it sussed. But when it comes to it comes down to people that's starting out, then it's very difficult to kind of understand the sponsorship process when it comes to sports. What are you worth? What's the potential? What could you be looking for? And it's like not overshooting or undershooting, but you get it at the right level.
Yeah, because I mean, to my understanding as well, and I definitely have a lot more to learn about it, but the way that it's kind of almost calculated, or the way that people kind of, what they set out to do with sports sponsorship is how many people are seeing what you're advertising with regards to your sponsorship, right? So each person is worth an X amount of money, and then the way that you're able to calculate that is multiply that by how many expected views you're going to have, or how many people are going to see that specific advertisement or sponsorship. And then from there, that's how you kind of calculate it. And depending on how much time it's going to be on screen, it's like there's like a lot of intricate details that go into it. But like mainly the idea of it is exposure and how many people are able to see it. And so even with the app that we have with ASAP, we're going to be offering sponsorship and advertisement within our platform as well. Because if you go to like one of the World Cup games that has 40,000 people, if 20% of people use the application and they're seeing the advertisement within our application, that's like another platform and segment to be able to advertise to people. So that's like one of the revenue streams that we're going to have in the app, apart from the food delivery and merchandise.
That's just amazing. What I want to do is I just want to say your website. I didn't say your website earlier. It's www.asapp-app.com. Okay, go and see what Hamid's doing. Hamid, I'm going to leave the last bit of the show to you. I want you to just give straight off the top of your head, give people the understanding of just give them some tips about the kind of things that they should be doing right now and what you've done.
I'd say number one, put your priorities in place, see what's kind of the most important thing to tackle, and just kind of start working down. Number two, write them down. I mean, I used to be kind of the person that would never write things down, but once I started doing that and I'm actually kind of seeing it on paper and then I'm crossing it out when I'm done, it's been huge for me to be able to take a step forward. And then three, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Like, I cannot stress this point enough. Have faith in what you're doing. Hopefully you have good intentions in what you're doing, and just keep on going through. It's a marathon. Like, don't rush the process. Have patience and good things will come.
Hamid, I'm telling you honestly, you have been a wonderful guest on the show today. You've given people so much information that they should look at and try to put into their own lives. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. It was an incredible one for me.
Man, thank you for having me again, Steve. And also, I just kind of want to take the opportunity to say, because I put this on my LinkedIn as well, that at this moment in time, I am offering free consulting and free advice with regards to sport business, tech, or whatever business you're involved in. So if anybody would like to reach out to me with regards to this, I'd be more than happy to take any inquiries.
Hamid, that's what makes you so special, honestly. Everybody, I hope you've enjoyed this show as much as I've enjoyed. Thank you so much, Hamid. Thank you very much for coming on and sharing some of your personal stuff. It was very good, and I know it's going to help so many out there. I do appreciate you coming on and sharing that with us.
No, really, thank you, Steve, for having me again and having me in mind and kind of continuing with the progress of what I'm doing since we first met. So I appreciate that just as a friend more than anything else. So thank you for that.
And that's the one thing that I would say. Make friends whenever you can. It's like we just become friends. We like watching each other's progress. We touch base with each other. Good on you. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you,
Hamid.
Thank you, man.
Cheers.
Take care. Have a good one. Bye-bye.